the tubing, as you can see. Now the rest of them that you go through, you can see here. Let's bring it up closer to the camera. So these little, let's get a little pointer. These little bungs here, these are the bungs you're going to take out, and you're going to put the syringe in there to pour the ink through until you see a little bit of ink appear in the syringe. Then you can put the syringe away and put the bung back in. Now don't worry that you're actually wasting a little bit of ink, because that first little bit of ink that's in the syringe is the first bit of ink that's going to carry through any foreign debris or dust that was in the system. That's a little bit of sacrificial ink that we throw away. It's about, I should think that little bit there is probably a few pence worth of ink, so we don't have to worry about throwing that ink away. Now we're going to do the final stage of the installation, which is actually putting the system onto the printer. So we'll need our alcohol swab, we need these little bumpers there, we need our great little bit of high technology, a little bit of tube, and that's about it really. All we've got to do now is move our attention over to the printer. So let's move the camera across and let's look at the printer itself. Now let's see how we've been doing. Great stuff. Now we can move it up a little bit. Yeah, that's probably the best angle for us there. So I'll try and make sure that my hands are not in the way. Yeah, that'll do fine. So we're looking at the top of the printer. So, for us to produce great colour and black and white using Lyson inks, and remember, you'll be printing at 1/5 of the cost. This would usually cost about £1 in Epson ink to produce, just under £1 in Epson ink. With the Lyson ink, you're going to get a print such as this for under 20 pence. So it's a great economy for you, and you're going to get true professional performance. I do a thing called a Lyson challenge, and I go around the country on these road shows that we do, and I challenge people to show me their best print, and time again I'm able to beat their best print using the same image, using, well, last year I was using a 2400 printer. This year I'll be using our 2880, and we simply use the Lyson papers, which are fabulous, the Lyson papers, the Lyson inks, and of course we have a custom profile written by the Lyson laboratories. So of course everything comes together and we get good professional imaging performance at a sensible price. Now, enough of the sales talk. Let's move. We've moved the carriage across to the left hand side. We've already prepared our cartridges. Now the chips, as you can see here, are supposed to point towards the front, so we know it's got to be in this direction. So the tubing has to go like this. See where the actual clip is. Don't worry if your particular clip looks slightly different to that, because the Lyson, they change those clips from time to time depending on the best they can get hold of at a particular time. So that's the way we're going to put it in. We're going to mine. We've got to be very careful here. Down here we've got a film, a little thin film strip. We don't want to catch that. We're going to push the little bit of a data cable off to one side also. We're going to move that underneath the bridge, bring it up again. Okay, and now we're going to move this carriage back to the ink change position. Remember, what we've done in order to get to this stage is we've moved the carriage to the ink change position with the mains on. We then took out the Epson cartridges, we cut the little pin at the edge here, and then we took out the lid. We can then take out the mains cable at the back of the printer, which will enable us from this position to move it up and down as we like. And we take the mains cable out because we don't want to accidentally push any of these buttons and the carriage will do its own thing. We don't want to damage the printer. So now we've got the cartridges in the right position. We supply these cartridges in the correct order already. So the yellow will be on the right, the light black will be on the left. So that's a good indicator of whether we've got it right or not. So the first elastic band to take off is the one over across the whole lot. Then we've got the 2 elastic bands that go across. So we're going to take 1 elastic band off. So that's 1. Now we're down to the last elastic band, and we very carefully take the last elastic band off without allowing the cartridges to drop down. Okay, so we're going to keep them in register, and we're going to just carefully see how I'm holding these cartridges. So they're resting down now onto the printer. At least they're in the right order. And what we're going to do now is just make sure that they're entered into their slots. We're not pushing them down yet, but we're just making sure each one is entered in nicely. We don't want to strain any of the contacts. That's it. That goes down nice and easy. It's quite straightforward. You can do it by feel, really, to be honest. Just looking here, making sure they all nicely go down. Here we go. They're supposed to be a nice snug fit, because if they're not a nice snug fit, they don't read the chips nicely. So just checking this last one. Just checking the last one there. There we go. That's it, that's fine. So they're all a nice snug fit now. And we've got the matte black sitting underneath. Now that could be the matte black, or it could be the photo black. It sort of sits in a little location on its own. I'm happy now that we've got the correct cartridges in the correct position. So all we've got to do now is press the yellow one down first. See where I'm pressing it? I'm pressing it where the bungs are. So where those little silicon bungs are, I'm now pressing these down, and these cartridges behave like the standard Epson cartridges. So they just clip down, and if we want to unclip them, we can simply pull a little clip back, and we can see quite nice. We can actually pull the cartridge out quite nicely, so they can go in and they can come out. The matte black cartridge simply sits down underneath this tubing, because the tubing we want to allow it to go left and right. So the next bit, we're happy that everything's in there, and do make sure you've pushed down securely. So you've pushed down securely there. There we go. What we now do is use our alcohol swab, and we're going to clean around the middle point there, that little middle point. We're going to clean here, a little bit there, and a little bit there, and that's all we need. And because I'm too impatient, I can't wait for the alcohol to dry, because we want to get on, because it's a video. We want to do this in real time. I'll just wipe that with a bit of kitchen towel, and that will allow me to get on with the installation. So we peel off the material here. Make sure that we've got the tubing in a nice parallel way there, and we can put the support down there. There's nothing too fussy there, as long as it sits there. It doesn't matter too much this way or that way, because we're going to finally adjust this when the time comes very shortly.